How many times do caregivers hear the often familiar statement, "I don't need any help"? Denial of care needs by a parent or a loved one is very common and immensely frustrating for caregivers who accepted the role of caregiver but never thought to set boundaries or parameters before becoming a helpful person. The truth is that if your loved one did not need help, a discussion about needing help would not be necessary. The reality is that you jumped in to provide help without giving the situation much thought. You made it easy for the person you care for not to take any personal responsibility to find help. Your help is free. The assumption is that you are giving your time out of love and compassion. That compassion, unrecognized by your loved one, is slowly transforming into resentment topped with a thick frosting of anger. If caregiving has been ongoing for some time, you may be at the point where liking the person for whom you provide care is the furthest thing from your mind. You are helping out of a sense of duty and obligation, with the goal of convincing this person that they must look at options for help instead of you. You've soft-shoed around the subject many times, making suggestions that fell on deaf ears. You now realize a more direct approach is needed, but you fear confrontation. Who doesn't? This situation represents my top 10 of the "what was I thinking" of caregiving. It is now time for you to set boundaries, to make and to communicate your plan. Know that if your loved one resists, you may be faced with walking away and bearing the guilt associated with the worry that something may happen to this person and it will be your fault. It will not be your fault. If you make a plan and communicate the plan, you are in no way responsible for the actions of another person. No one can make anyone do anything. We all have free will and make choices every day, sometimes bad choices. Here's my short list of next steps you might take. Number 1, write down your picture of the ideal situation. Do you wish to totally remove yourself from the care situation? Is your desire to visit monthly for a social, not a work visit? Draw a picture of the ideal situation and the steps that you will take to make this happen. Predict that you will be met with opposition and anger. You might feel as if your efforts were never ever recognized or appreciated. Number 2, your discussion is not a negotiation. You're providing information about how you plan to end your role as a caregiver. The other person isn't allowed to change or reverse your plan. Know that they'll try. Number 3, provide a deadline for removing yourself. Number 4, plan your conversation. Write it down and practice the conversation so that you appear confident rather than afraid or uncertain. Let me give you an example of a starter. Mary, I know that I placed myself in the role of caregiver. This is you taking responsibility. I've enjoyed the time I was able to help you. You are saying being with Mary was a positive experience. I'm no longer able to make the time commitment. You're informing Mary of your desire to change the situation. And I want to give you information so that you can make other arrangements. You're providing other options. I will help for 3 more weeks until such date. By this date, you'll want to have someone else in place to do all the things that I have been doing for you. You just gave Mary appropriate notice. Congratulations! You made your intentions clear, you provided alternatives, and you set a time frame. Now it's up to Mary to accept your information as accurate and to make plans. In most cases, Mary will do absolutely nothing, believing that your deadline is extendable and flexible. If you extend the deadline, you'll lose credibility and you'll hate yourself for being such a pushover that you fail to stand your ground. If, on the other hand, Mary expresses anger because she feels rejected by you, acknowledge your feelings and let her know that you are willing to leave and not return if your presence will be upsetting for her. She has to treat you with kindness. Situations of family and caregiver conflict are very common. Caregivers have a difficult time setting boundaries and often overextend themselves because they have little experience with situations of disagreement or conflict. Success in resolving situations of conflict is supported by thoughtful planning and preparation. By taking the right steps, you can turn a "what was I thinking" situation into "I'm glad I expressed my feelings" situation. If you need assistance in negotiating this type of care situation, retain the services of a care advocate. I'm Pamela Wilson of the Caring Generation, an online community of support for family and professional caregivers.